Episode 646 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Josh Pentellaresco. This is Daphne
Lage.
Lage. Okay,
yes,
cool.
yes. The 4 letters tends to throw people off.
Well,
They think the smaller the name, the more complicated it must be.
Well, no, because usually sometimes, so again, it depends. Like linguistically speaking, I've done French and Spanish, so I think that's like Lage, log.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, well, I I look at it and go, okay, I better ask. I mean, look at my name. Like my name says pretty much like, I dare you to say it. Like bring it. And I'm used to the fact that that sometimes it's just not going to look good or be good or what people say. But so I'm very forgiving on it on my end.
Oh, okay.
I always feel like super like awkward when I'm the one messing up. It's like, wait a second, I should be better than this, right? Something to that effect, anyway, right? So, but anyway, I am with Daphne Lage, right? And we are here, and we're going to be talking. I don't know. We're going to talk about her book eventually. At that
right?
Point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, eventually, but I want to get to know Daphne a little bit. Well, first off, whatever you've heard about me is probably true.
Okay.
Right, probably true. The second part about it is, like we were just talking about doing important stuff on the internet. It's a weird thing, like because I'm writing a science fiction series about like art. Like archaeology in the future,
right, yeah,
and a lot of it's going to be here. So there's two ways of looking at this, right? Assuming we don't destroy ourselves, which is for the next 10 years about a 50-50 chance, I figure, right? About 50. Assuming we don't destroy ourselves. If we do, this will be all gone. No one will know anything we've done here, really, and that's a very like frightening thought. On the other hand, if everything goes really, really, really well, right? We'll know what everybody did.
They're going to know. It's like, wait a minute, that might not be an improvement.
Absolutely. No, I'm not saying like this in like this nefarious way.
Right.
Like, yes. No, like, but I mean, it's interesting because we like today. I did voice work. I did finish a writing assignment early this morning, and I made sure that's off to where it needs.
Right.
We have another writing assignment Friday. It's going to be a long, because this one's a big one. It's going to be a long 2-3 days. A lot of research, some writing. Like I'm not streaming tomorrow because it's going to be that's what the day is going to be. But yeah, no, it's one of those situations where I look at it and go like, this is going to be a wild time. And yeah, so it's like, but all of this stuff I'm doing is digital. All of this stuff I'm doing is like there's nothing physically there. And it's like it made me think the other day, it's like, most of my life is energy. I'm producing energy literally into the universe. It looks like this wonderful shape and color that everybody gets. But there's no physical proof I'm doing anything.
Right. Yeah, that's a tough one because it's like I still do predominantly traditional artwork, and it kind of blows people's minds when it's like, what do you mean you do your artwork by hand? And it's like, yes, I do. I still do.
I like it.
like it's almost like a disappearing thing because everyone is so used to doing everything digitally.
Well, last year especially, we've all been playing with it to the point that I'm actually kind of sick of it, right? Yeah, because it's a very boring way to do things in some ways.
It is. It is. There's certain things that like there's certain parts of it that makes my work easier to do, and then there's certain parts of it that is so tedious I want to claw my eyeballs out. It's like it can go either way with that. But what's funny is that like the same thing, like even though there's certain, like when I do physical artwork, there's the same kind of thing. There's certain things that are tedious, and there's certain things that are just easier to do by hand. It doesn't, like, the tedious stuff doesn't have that same mental drain that doing it on a computer does. Like, I don't know, there's something, I guess it's like it's the staring at the screen at the same time.
It's the screen.
I think it's the screen.
It's the medium. right?
Yeah.
When I'm drawing something like something I'm gonna be trying to draw soon, so just a sketch for fun. I'm a big fan of manga, as you can see. There's Gray and Blue. I'm a big fan of the style because it's like I'm a Final Fantasy VI nerd.
Right. Yeah.
People that's like, okay, I'm in. I don't really care. This could be the dumbest thing ever, but at least
right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. But I love the physical. I still love physical, and I always will because I'm of that generation where I started in the physical. Now I can play in this. Right. Now, eventually, I mean, I'm getting older, so there's going to come a point where I'm like 50 or 60, and I'm going to be like the backwards yokel. Like back in my day,
yeah. Well, no, actually, yeah, I find myself doing that now. I mean, because also the thing is, like, yeah, because you're right, it is the screen where it's like I can't read. Like I can't read manga or anything like that on a screen. I have to have the physical book.
Yeah.
It's rare that it's rare that I can read a book. I have the patience to read a book digitally. But I don't know. It's like there's just something about the tactile experience of having the physical medium in your hands.
Even when I write a book, if I have I'm doing an epic poem, but I actually so the next draft of my book is going to be I did it as a digital, but I'm going back to a physical because I'm drawing pieces of it, right? So it's like, oh shit, what the hell did I sign up for?
Right. Well, but that's
but it needs to be done this way because I wanna play with the design. Like like the one cool thing about technology, the design of how you tell a story can be very, very different.
Yeah.
And like for example, I can do in one novel, I can do a comic book scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been experimenting with that too, about combining prose with comic book art, as opposed to, because the nice thing about prose is that you can go on tangents that is very natural in the written word that you can't do in comic book format because you need to be hyper focused with the artwork in order to tell that story that way. So it's like I've been kind of experimenting with the idea of combining both, just to see what happens.
Well, so for me, what I'm doing is I'm doing it like a Twitch stream because Twitch is an easy, like if you look at it from like a comic book format, Twitch is a dream. You've got a big ass panel. Yeah. You put something in it. For a noob like me, this is perfect. Like you can't fuck this up. All you gotta do is draw something there. It can be anything really there, right? I'm doing some kind of Legends of Zelda homage. There's probably I'm going to tell you that the scene I'm doing is everybody who remembers this. The first, you always hear the story. Well, what happens if you hit the chicken? Well, it's swarmed by just these endless armies of like little chickens. Right. And everybody loves that. We all have done it in Legends of Zelda just to see if it actually is true. It's like there's no way this happens. And then we get swarmed like there's an army of deadly chickens. And they're coming for you. Right? How dare you assault our brethren?
Right, exactly.
Unite, right?
The fact that the developers knew you were going to do that and they came up with, it's like, okay, this is what happens when we know you're going to do that.
Well, they did it on purpose.
Yeah,
they did it on purpose. And like the reason why it's like Zelda games work is because there's three things. Sound. The sound that's made when you do stuff. They do a really good job, really simple sounds to convey a story. They do that incredibly well, especially in the early games. Holy crap, right? Now some of them are annoying, like as much as I love Ocarina of Time, the worst sound is, hey, listen.
Oh, there's always one. There's always one that just makes you cringe.
But that was on purpose too.
Right.
That was on purpose too, right? So here's the thing about that, right? So you look at that game. Okay, that game's got like flips, jumps. You hear him like yelp and exert himself all the time, right? So you can have a lot of fun with Link as a kid. You hear how he sounds, moves, like because he doesn't talk, but it's still so you want to hear him. That's a big part of the game. How he interacts with the world is a big, like as a kid and as an adult.
Right.
That's a big part of why that game's fun, right? So they've been picking on and using this the entire series. That's why Legend of Zelda games always get picked up again, because you remember those sounds. You remember that experience of when you lift that rock. I think my favorite's when you fall into the holes and you go into like this next room. But again, these are these little the little things, right? They make the game fun, right? And see, you've been smiling the whole time I've been describing this.
Yeah, because it's like, for me, I'm more. I grew up more with Diablo, so that's the parrot.
Okay. Right? That's impressive. That sounds like a fire alarm. It's like, wait.
Yeah, the more obnoxious the noise, the more he likes to repeat it. But yeah, so I was mostly, I'm mostly more familiar with Diablo and like older CD games, so as opposed to console games, and Diablo is the same way, where there's certain sounds, there's that just the game wouldn't be the same without them. It really is, a testament to the, every part of the design is important to get that to get the interactivity across.
So one of my favorite games, more recent games, is the Ninja Theory Devil May Cry. I know it's not that recent, ladies and gentlemen. Shut up. I'm old. I don't care. I'm back in my day, right? But the sound when the axe hits demons is so satisfying. You just hear it, you go like, yeah, it feels good.
And they were like testing every sound. That they were in the Foley studio and they were just hitting everything, until they got that perfect sound.
Exactly.
Nothing is random. Nothing is random.
And that's a very important key to storytelling, right there, because you can create an environment. You can create an environment, even a disagreeable environment, but if you allow the permission to interaction to go, right, and it feels a certain way, does a certain way, acts a certain way, you can create a very unique experience in the human psyche, a very unique one, and that's what we remember. Like I said, Zelda's the jam, right? Because I'm doing Zelda, and again, the chicken scene, because everybody's done the chicken scene, right? That's the Easter egg. Right, that's the Easter egg I'm having in as the comic scene. The dialogue one is actually more. So unlike, say, what I consider a really good comic, the dialogue, in comics is usually accentuates the scene.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, you can do it where the dialogue doesn't have to match what's going on.
Right.
And one of those cases, the dialogue isn't going to match what's going on.
Right. Well, and there's also like certain where you don't even need words at all to tell the story, which is a very popular in comics. It's a very popular exercise. It's like, can you tell your story without the dialogue? If somebody was looking at your comic and there was no dialogue, could they still read it?
So, and the answer in good books, it's yes.
Yeah.
In good books, it's yes.
Yeah.
They might not get all of the drift of the story, but they get
exactly.
You're like, okay, I totally get why this is good, right? And there's some cool little gems where you're like, okay, this is brilliant, and you can see how good a writer or an illustrator really can be, because you take the dialogue away.
Yeah,
you don't know who's done what, but the illustrator has to set things up to shot up a certain way.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, the illustrator has to be just as much of a storyteller as the writer themselves,
or better.
Yeah, it's a in the end, it's a collaborative effort, and it's like, it all has to work together.
Well, I look at the Ultimates. Fine, like Mark. I'm not gonna make. I really love Mark Miller's Jupiter's Legacy stuff. I like that stuff.
Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah, I like that. But the Ultimates, I know, I've seen some of those scripts. Hitch had to do mental gymnastics in some of those scenes to figure out who was there. It was right. So in that case, it's like Hitch is as big a part of that story as Miller is, right? And that's not knocking Miller. Miller. I mean, that book would not have been the same without both of them.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But But I look at that and I'm like, okay, that's one example. Then there's other examples too. Like, he's polarizing. I look at like Brian Bendis. He's both the best and worst dialogue writer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's both at the same time because his dialogue.
You have to be coming into Bendis's work really familiar with what he likes for you to like understand what he's doing.
Well, even without it, like his writing is usually actually really good. The issue is, so sometimes, this is my opinion on Bendis. When he's doing individual books with individual characters, his style is perfect. It's really good. But when he does team books, I think because you want more. Team books at heart are like, okay, oh my God, I got Superman and Batman together, and I got Wonder Woman. Like, there's that little inner kid, like, I got them, let's have them do cool shit.
Right.
You don't really care. You don't, like, in terms of the big dialogue exposition concept, you don't need to tell a complicated story.
Which that's the thing that, it's like, I think the joke that we had for a while is that, that Bendis turns everything into a Law and Order episode when you really just want to see Batman and Superman punch people.
That's it. That's why I'm not crazy about his Legion of Superheroes. Right. I like some of his concepts, but I think that there's just too much.
Right.
When you have that many characters, you have to leave room for, like, you can do this a couple different ways.
Yeah.
But one of the things you do have to do, you're still, no matter what you choose, like, I think the best way to tell a Legion story is to take a group of characters you really like, put them together, help them have fun, develop them a little bit as characters. And then the next story you tell, you feature a different group of Legionnaires.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Some of the same characters, but not all of the same characters. Right, you almost had to do a pass the baton thing. So
yes, that's exactly
such a big
what
cast
you have to do.
That you can do that, and you're not like killing yourself. You can tell some stories that way.
Yeah.
But I think where the but the thing is, I don't want to see, and this is what I found with him on Legion, and this is my take. Someone might love it. My favorite Bendis stories are Jessica Jones and Scarlet.
Okay.
So I mean, that's those are my favorite too, and that again, Choir maybe, I don't know. That's but I love his individual stuff because he really gets into the heart of the character. Ultimate Spider-Man works incredibly well with this format, and that's like his most mainstream successful work because you get those individual moments with these individual characters, and the cast is small enough that you kind of get a real sense of who they are, and that's what you want.
Right. Yeah.
Characters interact, like in a solo book. It's more about how characters interact and build relationships in the world they're in. In a team book, it's the big ass adventure stuff.
Right. Yeah. Right? Exactly.
You have those little moments here and there. But they sprinkle. Right. You sprinkle them. You don't make them. Right. Hi, Mr. Parrot. That's a parrot.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I think the expectations are different, and because the expectations are different, as I said, I have not been crazy about him in a team book, but I enjoy his singles books very much because I feel that style works very well for him there, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Right, but he's the best and the worst because he does these amazing dialogue things.
Right.
And he also is like, sometimes you're like, I want. Can we get to the part where you punch people?
Right. Yeah. But again, it's like that's very typical Bendis.
You go back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, Brian Michael Bendis, if you somehow watch this, I do want you on my show, and you can illustrate my point of view.
Like, have your agent call me.
Well, whatever. Hey, listen, I've had some pretty cool people show up on the show. I'm not like. I'm open to anybody or anything to come on here and have a chat because it's all cool, no matter who it is on the other end.
Yeah. Right.
Well, this is probably the most story stuff I think in a while.
Talking about Brian Michael Bendis.
We did that, but we also we talked about story structure and different mediums and genres. Diablo and Legend of Zelda.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And the importance of sound. The importance of sound and
hey,
knowing,
gaming's interactive, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, knowing when to hyper focus on characters or expand your story to accommodate multiple characters.
Mm-hmm. You gotta understand what your story needs, right?
Yeah.
You gotta understand what your story needs. And I think today the interest, like going from the very beginning, is we talked about like just like mediums are a lot closer. You can play with mediums a lot more now. Like I'm playing with the Twitch stream / comic / I'm using an interview format and pieces of my story, and I'm just doing a lot of different things.
Right.
And yeah, it's fun. I've learned an awful lot about how you can tell a story. And
yeah.
That's the cool thing about learning these techniques, right? But the ultimate challenge is how can you make people give a shit?
Well, that's the ultimate. But the thing is, though, is like the way I tackle the stories that I work on is that I can't anticipate how the reader is going to react. I can only write like I can only write for myself technically, like for an audience of one. It's like I'm always telling people that it's like I create and I write for an audience of one, which is me. But the idea is to be able to share it. But and if people really get into it, then you know that's all the better, because it's all about being able to ultimately share all the work that we do. But in the end, I can't anticipate how the reader is going to react to my work, because there comes a point where it stops being like if you I'm sorry. If you try to cater too much to how you think the reader is going to react to your work, it stops being art and becomes product.
Yeah.
And and in the end, it's like I'm not interested in making product. I'm making art. So there's a fine line that I follow with that. I mean, technically for me, it's not really a fine line, because like I said, I don't cater anything that I do to what people claim that they want. And sometimes, and the thing is, and sometimes people don't know what they want. There's a very famous, famous or infamous story about how chunky tomato sauce came into being. And I forgot which company. I don't remember if it was Prego or Ragu or who came out with chunky tomato sauce first. But but they were like market testing all these different types of sauces, you know, for I don't know, 6 months, a year or something. And they were trying to figure out what the next big flavor was going to be. And it was just all like just different iterations of their regular tomato sauce. And you know, people were saying, "Oh, do this, do that, do the other thing," right? And on a fluke, one of their, I guess, their researchers decided to make a chunky sauce as opposed to all the regular sauces they were doing. And this was nobody up until this point had said they wanted this. You know, I forgot the reason why he did it. He just did it. You know, I guess just to put something different on the table. And that became the one that people wanted. Nobody talked about chunky up until that point. Nobody mentioned it. No, and all it took was this dude to just like, you know what? I'm kind of bored with all these sauces. Let me put this out to see what happens. And that's the one that wins this whole market research project.
But well, it's interesting. So let's rewind. Then we'll go. We'll get to the chunky, because I truly believe in the power of accents. Chocolate chip cookies, sticky nuts,
are accents.
and the best actions, and they came from mistakes. Which
right.
The lesson there, ladies and gentlemen, is not all mistakes are created equal,
Right.
or sometimes a mistake really isn't a mistake.
Right.
You're smart enough to recognize what it is. But what I'm going to say is, okay, so here's the thing. You have to get people to care about your story. It's got to be about something you care about.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Something you care about. And you got to recognize the fact that I can't tell you what this person across the street cares about.
Right.
I don't give a shit. Right? I don't give a shit partly.
That's to put it bluntly, sure.
Yeah. Right. Right? Because it's just because I say it like that because it's the only way people are going to get the concept that we are doing something that's very at best. If I go by what everybody else wants,
yeah,
you said you have 9 different suggestions,
right? Yeah,
and eventually you're like, well, there's some things to listen to sometimes. There's some things you can pick up, but when you really get right down to it, right, by and large, people don't necessarily know what they want.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Going that route for an extended period of time is a slow form of suicide. It has to be something they're a little familiar with, but so they have a way to jump in. But beyond that, the first thing is, what do you care about?
Right.
If you can know the answer to that question, like I write about curiosity, I write about freedom, I write about like overcoming fear, because I give a shit about those things, and they're kind of relevant, I think, in this time. That's my opinion, but that's just I feel like that's where we are at this point. Is we worship the dragon a little too much, and we need to slay that motherfucker. That's kind of where I see right now, right? So, that's me, but I know I care about that, and maybe I'm right that people are going to care, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people are going to be like, "Fuck you! I worship this dragon. I'm going to love this dragon." There's nothing you can do
but that's the thing, because it's like you're never going to create something that everybody is going to love. That's it's like if you want to make a homogenized gray slop that people can, that's what mass media is for. Not to diss on any specific genre or movie or whatnot, but that's what mass media is for, to try to create something for literally the masses, to consume at once, and not have to worry about it. On what we're doing on a smaller level is we're doing our individual projects, our passion projects, and what we're hoping is that we can attract the people that share those values, that share our values in the storytelling. And then it's like, and then that's how we build our audience and create that kind of like that symbiotic relationship between our work and the audience, because we can't make something for everybody. So yeah, you're right. We have to start off with what we're passionate about, and then hope to find the rest of our tribe that enjoys that work too.
No, I guess there's that. That's phase 1. Here's phase 2. So there's 3 strategies, right, to this. So what you're saying there, mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with making cotton candy once in a while.
Absolutely not. That's not what I'm. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying at all.
I'm gonna make an example about this. I've had this on the show. I've interviewed people. Hallmark. Yeah. They are cotton candy.
Yes.
They know they're cotton candy.
Yeah.
They don't care. And you know what? Hats off to them. They do. They know who they are. They know what they do. They don't.
And they have an audience that loves their stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And they make no bones about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They make no bones about it. And you know what? I can respect that.
Right.
Yeah. I can respect. You know what? We make a particular flavor of ice cream.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like this flavor of ice cream.
Right.
We may not make anything else, but goddamn, we love this ice cream.
Yeah, we're really good at this flavor. Yes.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, here's the deal. You know this when you get to a certain size at some level.
Right.
Your shit's McDonald's. It's just
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
As a business model, McDonald's is the dream. As an artistic model, that's a fucking nightmare. But
exactly. Yes.
Right. But you gotta kind of find your happy place in that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So here's the deal. So here's the deal. So that's the goal. How do you get there? Well, one thing is you can try to do a derivative of the said ice cream flavor,
right?
And it can work to some extent. Like one of my favorite fast food joints in London, Ontario, is a place called Fast Eddie's. Fast Eddie's is McDonald's light.
Right.
No bones about it. They're good stuff. They're more nutritious than McDonald's. Not saying much. I'm more nutritious than McDonald's.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. McDonald's light. Right. And there's nothing wrong with McDonald's light. Sometimes you just want a burger. If you want to become that franchise people are talking about, you got to figure out how to stand out.
Right.
I'm doing epic poetry Alice in Wonderland mashup.
Oh, nice.
That's what I've done.
Uh-huh.
That's the next release. Then I'm doing a homage to Fahrenheit 451 because I love me Ray Bradbury.
Right.
But I'm doing it with interviews, Twitch stream, comics, and drawing.
Mixing mediums and
yeah, because it's like, well, if you're retelling the story, what are the important bits that you can retell?
Right.
And one of the coolest things about Ray Bradbury is even in a book as scary as Fahrenheit 451, there is some legitimate magic in the world, even in sometimes, and that's a really cool thing to remember. And Clarice in Montague's first 20 pages is pure magic because it's like, are you happy? Like the question never hit Montague's head before, and suddenly you see this girl that loves tasting rain, this eccentric, makes no apologies for who she is.
Right.
She sticks out like such a sore thumb that he could not help but be drawn to have these conversations with this girl who is wiser than he is, who is burning books.
Right.
Right. That's where we are. And then suddenly you see the horror of the world he lives in contrast, and you say, well, this is a horrifying world. You need to escape it. Well, there's something about that feels very true today. And so it's like, this seems like a good time to do something like that. But what would Ray Bradbury do if it was today? Well, he would be looking at Twitch and going, this is a really cool, wonderful thing. How can I use it?
Right. Yeah.
Right. I don't know if he'd be like me and just start drawing a year ago and say, fuck it, I'm going to get good at this one way or the other.
Well, right? I always I always think about how like Andy Warhol would have reacted to the internet. This is the man who coined the term 15 minutes of fame. In the future, everyone will have 15 minutes of fame. And it's like the internet was like an embodiment of his mission statement. And sometimes I wonder, it's like, wow, what would Andy Warhol be? How would he be reacting to this? How would he be utilizing it? Would he have been into NFTs and cryptocurrency and all that? It's like,
he'd be totally into crypto.
I would think so too. He would be pumping out NFTs like that.
I think crypto's brilliant. Yeah. I love I think. So, the big crazy meta idea about what I think is going on, you want the craziest theory of them all, and this is my theory about what's going on right now. I think government realizes it's obsolete and is trying to cling to what it can for as long as it can. Because you sit there and think about it, crypto is currency, which means we don't need a banking system to actually trade with each other anymore. We don't need mainstream media because we have the internet. We don't need So we don't need banking. We need some form of government, but not to the same degree, because government doesn't even have to work the same way anymore.
Right.
Because I'm talking to you on a Twitch stream.
Right.
We are hundreds, if not thousands of miles apart right now. So like the idea of a town hall, an idea of a vote, an idea of this like this
right,
old,
that
right?
we're local.
Like, if you actually sat there and thought about what we actually needed today from the current system,
right,
it's not very much. We don't even need it for infrastructure, really. If you really sit there and think about, like, this is the big crazy idea. So I admit this. If you really sit there and think about it, you can create your own currencies now, which means that the banking system is not necessary. You can create your own systems of government with people you can interact with. Literally, the nature of community now is worldwide, not just like citywide. It's worldwide, right? So how does the government fit in that? It doesn't. You don't really need a military because, well, you still need some form of enforcement.
Right. You need
some
form not to the extent that we have it.
Exactly. Right. So if you look at all these big structures that have come to be over the last 60 years, none of them are worth a damn. If you really sit there and think about that, none of them are needed. So the big idea, so this is my big idea, right, is what's going on. Part of what's going on here is I think government has realized that it's about to go extinct, right? And it's an interesting that's an interesting thought, right? So once you realize that, it's like, oh, this puts a whole new spin on everything that's going on right now, right? So it's like, this makes sense. This is crazy in some ways. It's still absolutely batshit crazy, but it makes sense.
Well, if you kind of consider, well, because the way I look at it is that because I think what you said, you're in Canada, so I'm in the United States.
Yeah.
So it's like, because the way I look at it is Congress is the largest welfare program for rich people in the United States, because you're talking about all these people, like their whole purpose, they're literally born and bred to hold office. Like they don't do anything else. So yeah, the fact that they're realizing that certain aspects of their job are becoming obsolete, that it's like, yeah, they are fighting tooth and nail to keep it, because it's like they're not going to do anything else. Their families are not going to do anything else. We're talking about dynasties, political dynasties. So it's like, so it's like, yeah. So if you look at it as like, this is a welfare program for rich people.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing, right? No matter what, they have to change.
Yeah,
change is inevitable. So
absolutely, yeah.
Right.
They'll fight it tooth and nail, but the change is going to happen.
Yeah, no, the change is inevitable. So I mean, if you sit there and think about the next 10 years, the immediate future looks kind of bleak, because there's going to be a lot of civilization burning, like just watching what's going on in I
mean, it's like, look, just 2 weeks ago I had my basement flood. We had a foot of water over just because we ended up with a hurricane over a category 1, and we're not even nowhere near water. Like my area is not even an evacuation zone. What had happened was that the infrastructure failed. The storm drains couldn't handle the amount of water that was getting dumped in. I think it's like 2 feet of water in like 15 minutes, something crazy like that, or in a half hour, and it completely overwhelmed the system, and it backed up into everybody's basements. And depending on which neighborhood you were in, I ended up with a foot of water in my basement. There were people who not only ended up with 9 foot more of water in their basement, people drowned in their apartments. So yeah, it's like that was, this was not normal.
Not at all. And so you're watching what you're watching right now is you're seeing kind of like this old system slowly fade into the sunset. So the question now is, what kind of new system is going to take its place?
Right.
Right. And I think that's up to us. But the thing about that is I think, again, going back to said, right now we fear the dragon, and I think we need to slay the dragon, not necessarily fear the dragon so much. And that's what I'm seeing. Like, you can literally see that you look at tools that exist today, right? We're talking.
Right.
So I don't even need to cross the border to see you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, it's nice I can do that.
Right.
But I don't really need to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So travel, how we look at travel, is like, it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. I can make decisions based on government, right? Like policies for me and everybody else. Because again, I don't really need, in terms of community, I don't really need to be involved in anything my city is doing anymore, wherever I am.
Right.
I can live wherever I want. I can do whatever I want. And really, that it really doesn't matter. If you were to sit there and think about it, there is very little about this system that is relevant in any way, shape, or form. Again, crypto changed things. It made it so that you don't need a banking system. If you don't need a banking system, you pretty much have broke the foundations of our current system. You broke it, right? Because you don't need it anymore, right? So you broke that. Since the banking system is no longer necessary, you don't need a government system. Like this is my big thought, and this has been my big thought for a little while. You don't actually need a government system, at least as presently constructed. You don't need a police force as presently constructed. Now you still need some infrastructural stuff because flooding of an apartment 9 feet is not exactly what we call a great deal. But now, if you look at the whole structure, right? Some of it is, like almost all of it, isn't necessary, right? And it's like, what are we doing? And then, that sounds like a really, really interesting. It sounds like a really but honestly, sit there and think about that. It's like, okay. And that puts a whole nother spin on what's going on right now. If you really sit there and think about that, it's like it puts a whole different spin on that a lot of people aren't thinking about.
But that's why the work that we do is important. Mm-hmm. So that, like, obviously for the work that you do, those are the values you're putting into your stories that even if you're not being literal, it's still like, oh, okay, you're making people think about certain aspects that they may or may not apply to what they're familiar with, but at least the idea is getting out there.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that's what good science fiction does, right? Yeah. That's what science fiction has done for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things. It's like, no, what am I talking about? Wonder, possibility, magic, right. Freedom, joy, curiosity, right? Those are and overcoming fear. That's right. Like, again, I know who I am as an artist, and because I know who I am, well, the rest of it just adds up itself, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And people, and then when people read your work, they sense that. It's like, again, because in the end, you're still making art. You're not making product.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, I'm kind of both, because it's like I am trying to sell it to make money.
Well, you see, that I guess that's where the fine line comes in. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, yes, we're making product in a literal sense, is that we're creating something to sell. So in a sense, that's product. But the work that we're doing to make that product is the art. It's kind of like, Netflix just cares about content. They just see everything in their catalog as content. But when the Henson Company did the Dark Crystal Rise of the Resistance, they were creating art. Mm-hmm. But for Netflix, for the purposes of Netflix, it was just content. So that's the line that we ride in terms of, in the environment that we're in.
One of my favorite little books, and I have it in Calgary, and I'm hoping to when I get back there, grab it again. It's a little book called "If You Got Talent, This Is For You," and this is the guy that did Billboard ads. So he made me look at art in a completely different way. Reading this book, one of the things he pointed out was some of the best art is commercial, and the reason why is because if you sit there and think about what art actually is, it's problem solving. It's just right. It is problem solving. Right. It's taking something now on the simplest level. Take something you give a shit about,
right,
and express it to the world in a way that at the very least, so you don't need so much therapy. All right, I mean, right? Or at the very least, at the very least, um, you know, you're creating a product that people can connect to and feel something for. And the problem you're doing is giving people something to feel in a world that isn't always about those feelings.
Right.
Right. So saying all that, doing all that, and making that the goal, right? Um, that's the base level. But then there's a bigger level, right? Because okay, let's take your book, your awesome comic that is awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, my comic Eagle Raven or the First Unicorn.
Yeah,
yes,
well,
which is on Kickstarter right now. By
that's right. So let's
yes.
talk about that. So here's the thing, right? You have an intellectual property. This is where the book was really smart. It's like, okay, so here's where artists have been taught to sell themselves short and shouldn't. You have a unique intellectual property that can only be done by you.
Yeah.
That in a world of endless content, there is an insatiable demand. This is probably the other problem you solve. You provide content.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So here's the. So this is strictly on the business end of things. So you, the artist, have crafted, painstakingly written. Did you draw it too? I'm not.
Yes, I did everything.
So you're a one-woman rock star. So
yes, exactly. I wear all the hats on this one.
So you're an even bigger badass than I'm even saying at the very beginning. You're laughing at that. It's the truth. That's a lot of work and skill.
It is.
And you should be applauded for it, right? You're actually blushing. That's awesome.
Well, you know.
But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. So now let's think about what you just did.
Right.
You have crafted a story that could be presented to and consumed by a mass audience. Now, one aspect of that is just telling stories. Here's another aspect. You can do business proposals. You can do like managing stuff because you can do it. You prove that is a proof of concept right there.
Right.
Take that Eagle Raven property. Okay, it'd be really cool. Eagle Raven video game. Fuck, I'm gonna make the coolest video game ever.
I've had a lot of people, talk about that.
Yeah, right.
Where's the Netflix series?
Right. But okay, that's two. But there's more than that, right?
Yeah.
There's sequels. There's international, right? If you look at what publishers actually do, they are master resellers.
Right.
That's the book from you, and they sell the book to their bookstore chains that they have connections to. Then they sell it internationally, and they sell it again internationally, and again. They are taking the business end of art. This is where this is where you kind of have to McDonald's it a little bit.
Yeah.
This is the part that sucks, but it's also the part that is actually very smart. And then I learned all this reading this book. I realized something very valuable about this. So the thing is, you have something you can sell dozens upon dozens of times, not just to readers, but to businesses, television studios, video companies. And you have a product that is truly unique because only you can make it.
Right.
They're indispensable. So what you should be doing is not just get one agent, but what they tell you to do. You should be getting as many agents as you can and say, hey, I got this cool thing. Let's make cool shit so I can be rich and shameless and you can too. Find me that obnoxious t-shirt company. I will come up with something just epically like trendy so we can all roll in money for the rest of our lives. Or, and then you go to another agent. Hey, listen, I want a video game. I want like the platform, multi-platform video game stuff because that's just freaking cool and that's always the dream. I want those cool sound effects, damn it. So that's what I want, right? And then you go to another one. Give me a television show.
Right.
There's no rule that says you can only have just one agent. There's no rule.
No, because it's like each. I would think that each one has a specialty.
Exactly. Right. But also, again, this is your baby.
Right. Yeah.
This is where the businesswoman has to match the artistic badass.
Right.
Right. The artistic badass is like, I can do all this shit myself. So the businesswoman's like, that's a really good point. So let's make myself as sovereign as possible. How can I take your badassery and then put myself out there as a problem solver to all these different things.
Right.
Content, doing presentations, creating right, providing entertainment, like all these things these things you serve, right? Artists don't think like that.
Well, in
advertisers
general, yeah,
do.
right. Well, you see, here's the thing, though. On a certain level, I do agree with you. Artists are notoriously bad at business, and the entire history of art, especially in comics, is paved with the bodies of artists who sacrificed themselves for their work that were completely made the benefit of a company that never gave back to them. I mean, it's the tale as old as time. I mean, it's like even now we're seeing in the news about how Disney is about to lose. Well, Marvel is like all these families from that created certain characters like Steve Ditko and whatnot, created Spider-Man and I think Doctor Strange. They're suing to get the rights to their characters back. Which means that Disney will have to pay licensing fees, not that the fact that all of a sudden these characters won't exist anymore. So that's the like I said, it's the tale as old as time. But on the other hand, is like the reason why all of that would make sense to me if the problem that I was solving with my artwork is how do I entertain the most people possible with it? And that's actually that question has never come up. I've never asked myself that question about the work that I'm doing right now. I'm greedy with my IPs. If we, I'm kind of loath to use that phrase, but in the end, it's just short for intellectual property. So it's I'm very greedy with it right now, and it's like, and the question that I'm answering with my comic book work right now is how do I get this story out of my head?
Okay.
So in the end is like that's right now at this moment. That's if certain aspects of art is about problem solving, and especially marketing is about problem solving, what problem am I solving with my work? And the thing is, though, is that I'm the only, like I said, the only problem I'm solving with my work right now is how do I get this out of my system? It's like how do I get this onto paper? Like I said at the beginning of the show, is that I come towards my work as I'm entertaining myself first, and if other people can be entertained by it as well, then that's a bonus for me. That's not an end goal. My end goal is to get this story told. If down the line it turns into, okay, I have enough of this story out and enough interest that maybe I can take it to the next level, then I can worry about that then. But right now, it's like my focus is on the storytelling, is on is on entertaining myself. Not whether I'm going to get I'm going to get Blizzard to make an Eagle Raven game in the style of Diablo.
But before I want to give you a friendly rebuke, but before I'm going to do that, I have to ask this question.
Okay.
And I don't usually ask this question, but
okay.
I think this is important.
Okay.
What's your goals as a creator? To just entertain yourself? Is it to make a living doing it? Is it a hobby? Because depending on how you answer that question, I will have you a rebuke. All right?
Okay.
Are you all right?
So the short answer is that I'm a creative hobbyist when it comes to my comic book.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Because I pretty much set up the rest of my life, my surrounding life, to not have to depend on my artwork for survival. I'm just one of these people that if I have to use my artwork to literally pay my bills, I'd rather just get a job.
Okay.
Because I do not want to. I've seen if there are other bodies that litter these streets are bodies of artists who once they leave the job they never pick up a pencil. It's like because they keep all their creativity at their job, and then once they leave their job they want nothing to do with it. I knew a lot of animators like that. And I made that decision a long time ago that I'm not going to subject my artwork to that, or I'm not going to subject me and my artwork to that. So even though I'm putting these stories out there, and I pretty much treat it like a job in terms of production and getting these Kickstarters out in a reasonable amount of time, and putting and studying my craft and making sure that I'm putting out the best work possible for the audience that I'm building. At the same time, I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm not doing that for the future Netflix deal and all that. It's like, this is just literally me messing around and being able to benefit from it on a certain level.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add one little follow-up. I still want to. I'm still going to give you a touch of a rebuke.
Okay,
not to the same degree, but I do have a follow-up question.
Sure.
Do you have it in any way as a goal that your current work is going to pay your bills in some capacity down the road?
Honestly, I don't want to say I don't think about it, because it's like I was just talking to somebody about the fact that one of the things that I'm looking forward that I'm kind of like want to do with my Kickstarter campaigns is to improve each one by $1,000. It's a very like modest target.
No, it's fine.
My question, but so money is an issue on a certain level, because it's more of a marker of improvement and learning my craft, rather than holy crap, if I don't raise this money I can't pay the mortgage or something like that. It's like, so eventually I would like to be able to say, yes, I could live off of this, but it's not like a major goal for me right now. Like, it's just something that's going to slowly happen. But like I said, it required me to set up my life in a way where I have the privilege of thinking about my artwork that way. Not a lot of people can do that. It took me 10 years to set up my life in a certain way to be able to do that. So when I got laid off from my job back at 2013, I was able to focus on this. Because I wasn't laid off when I wanted it to be. I still wanted a little bit more time to prep. But when I got laid off, I made the decision, okay, I don't have to work a real job anymore if I don't want to. So I can concentrate on my artwork. But at the same time, I can concentrate on the art part of my artwork, as opposed to, oh, now my artwork has to pay the bills instead. So I'm kind of in a very privileged position, in terms of this, this conversation. But it's like I don't want to say I don't think about the money, but it is part of the strategy.
Okay, so are you ready? Are you ready?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Come at me, bro.
Listen, I might make you blush. I might leak you out. So I think I figured out. And if I'm wrong on any of this,
right, okay,
call me out.
right.
This is just
Right.
just an observation.
Okay.
I think you're a little uncomfortable with the idea of, I'm not saying making money with your art, but doing art because your biggest fear with your art is that you will lose what you love about it if you go fully and say, I want to turn it into a business.
Yes.
That's your biggest fear.
That's that. I mean, you are definitely not wrong. I mean, it's like you're pretty on point with that observation, because that's like I said, I would be lying if I said, oh, you're full of it. No, no, no. That's a part of it too.
Yeah.
This work is really, it's like I'm not drawing Spider-Man. I'm
No,
not
no.
drawing Batman. It's like I'm not drawing something that is somebody else's thing, so I can have that mental disconnect. Um, these are the projects that I work on. They're very personal to me, and yeah, and at this point, it's like I don't think about them in terms of money, because I don't, enough of the process of making these books is a chore enough without the entire thing being a chore, without the entire thing being an
Okay.
obligation. Yeah.
So now I'm going to say the rest of it.
Right.
And we go until I'm done. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So here's the deal. You're at that point in your life where you want to still have a little bit more fun with it before you make that plunge. But let's be honest, between you and me, at some point you're going to make that plunge. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think there's nothing wrong with making this a hobby. And you may, and honestly, this is a personal thing, you guys. As a hobby, the cool thing about making it a hobby, though, is that there is no expectations as a hobby. Whereas if you say it's a business, now you have expectations. So that's fair. And it's all about what you want. And this is the thing. I cannot tell you what you want. But here's where I'm going to push a little bit. I'm going to push you just a
okay.
bit, right? I think looking at just what I saw when you showed the cover of the book, you're someone that's going to put a lot of love, craft, and care into it. And I think people will respond to your work financially as well because of the craft and care you do it. You have a unique opportunity. We are in the Kickstarter age. And the Kickstarter age has pretty much made it so that, here again, talking about which I said, the big need. DC or Marvel aren't necessary for a good comic career.
Right,
anymore.
exactly.
They're not. And the fact of the matter is, publishing is actually a good precursor to what's happening to the rest of the world, in the sense that, okay, traditionally getting published is not a big deal to me anymore, because I've been traditionally published. Number one, I've done it. Two, on my independent stuff has been award nominated. So I've gotten recognition on my own. I don't need validation from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I just give a shit about one thing, and that's getting paid. Now, that sounds very horrible, but here's the thing. I look at it a little differently. I still will enjoy what I make, no matter what. I still will do what I make, no matter what. However, I do put myself the expectation that, can I make money doing it? Now, as a freelancer, have I ever made a living wage for a month? No. But I've done it for a week, I've done it for 2 weeks. 1 week as a freelancer, I made more money in that week than I ever did working for anybody else.
Right.
Now I'm going through this up and down phase, and I'm still going through that.
That's typical of freelance, yeah.
Right. Last month, like this month, I made no money. Next month, I'm making nearly $1,000. Like already, and I haven't even started the month yet, and I've already making nearly $1,000. So it goes, not huge numbers, but the fact is, I've proven to myself that I can make money on my own, and I don't necessarily need to go get a job to make money on it. Right. I've proven that to myself. So and I still love what I do. each and every morning I go out and perform and do and see. So this is what I would say to you. All right. And this is my advice to you.
Okay.
Because down the road, you are going to go for it. That expectation thing, eventually you're going to say, fuck it. Because honestly, you're tiptoeing to the edge of it little by little. And again, you might not be ready right now, and that's a totally fine thing. But you're going to have to push yourself more and more and more and more and more. And you're going to need those expectations more and more and more and more, because your work secretly is not the product. You are. That's the truth. So what you have to you have to recognize the fact that as long as you're creating work, it's not people just are following your work, they're following you.
Yeah.
You have that ability to connect. Again, connection's a lot more there now than it ever was. Mm-hmm. You're the product. So you got to be open and honest about yourself, what kind of product you want to be. And again, you don't have to get there right tomorrow. Right? But you're going to get there. And when you do get there, right, it's going to be scary no matter when you get there. Absolutely. It's going to be absolutely scary. But treat yourself, this is where I'm going to push, a little bit more like you're there. Because even though you don't have to yet, you like what I
mean, you know, it's
because I figured some stuff out, and you're like, oh shit, what else does he know? But pushing yourself with expectations now would not hurt you.
Right.
And that's what it would not hurt you. You'd actually, I think, you'd over deliver. That is an honest assessment. But even if it doesn't work out the way you imagine it to work out, you haven't really lost anything.
Right.
Either. Yeah. So you should just a little bit because
just a tad.
Of that.
Right.
Right. Just a little. Again, keep it fun. I'm going to quote one of my favorite creatives of all time, Keith Giffen. He has a very simple rule: when it stops getting fun, fail.
Right.
Great advice. It's great advice. So if it's not fun, and here's the other thing: when you try this now, and this is the other big advantage, right? This is the other big advantage is you'll find out if it really is for you.
Right.
You'll find out, and in this position, you don't lose anything, right? The only real question you have to ask yourself is, will you give yourself permission to push all the way? Like really go like, okay, I'm going to actually do it. Make an effort. Let's see if I can do it even once. Because you gotta not cheat yourself. That's the caveat.
Right. Yeah.
Right. That's the caveat.
Well, it's the self-sabotage, you know. It's the imposter syndrome that comes out. You know?
Yeah. So that's the caveat.
Right.
But if you can do that, you should try.
Right.
Right. And considering your reactions on your face, this is the impression I got. I scored some hits. Right, I did score some hits. And again, you not do what I tell you to do, and that's fine. But as somebody that has just talked to you, you give a shit. And I think that in of itself deserves a chance to see how far that will take you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, I mean, look, again, to take a shot, you know, it's like I'd be lying if I said otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm kind of wondering how much of that is our age gap.
How old are you?
I'm 50.
I'm 40.
There you go. So it's, you know, so we're talking about a 10-year difference. So it's like, how, you know, whether that's a real thing, whether it's like, okay, it's like I'm at, you know, it's like whether like maybe, you know, I feel by this point it's like I can afford to just, you know, not worry about that. But at the same time, would it be nice? Yeah, sure.
Okay, so do you want to hear my somewhat nihilistic perspective on this?
Sure, you go for yours.
I have no guarantee. There is going to be no retirement for my generation.
Right.
there's probably not going to be anything for you either.
Right. Yeah. Which in the end is the prepping part that I was talking about.
Yeah. Right. There probably isn't. But so here's the question you got to ask yourself: what are you going to do with the rest of your life? None of that shit matters, right? So that's so in one real, like, again, going something I said, most of what we are going for in life really doesn't matter, right? Because at the end of the day, we're carrying none of this crap with us when it's all said and done.
Right. Yeah.
Right now, I get it too. You're not 30 or 40 anymore, and you're like, well, how many fucking chances can I take in this life?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And there's a little bit of that there, but at the same time, and maybe this is something I got to look forward to and get older. It's like you still got to get out of your comfort zone, even at 50, at 60, at 70, at 80, at 90. It doesn't fucking matter. It's how you grow, right? Now, I'm gonna be more curmudgeonly when I get older. It's like, oh, on, you can't make
exactly,
right?
Exactly. Yes, right? Yes, we will. I can guarantee that.
Right? No, right? And I know. No. The other cool thing, like I'm old enough to recognize that I can still change, but I'm also at that point where it's like, I'm okay not being perfect. Fuck that shit. Right. I don't need. There are some things about myself that are never going to change, and there's going to be problems with that somewhat. You got to accept the fact that those flaws, those things you're not going to change, come with flaws.
Right.
And as you get older, the more you stick with those things, the more those flaws come out. I look at my dad at 60 versus my dad at 40. My dad at 40 was still changing and evolving.
Right.
At 60, now he's in 65. He's at the retirement age. He's there. He's retired. All that other wonderful fun stuff and bullshit. And I'm watching him, and sometimes I listen to him. I'm like, you're stuck in your sweat. You've gotten old, old man. Right. But sometimes, in all fairness, and looking at it from his point of view, it works for him, right? So who the fuck am I to like look at him and say Drew needs to change if it's working for him, right? Now, I think some things could work better, but at the same time, I get it too, right? At this point in the ball game, he's content with who he is,
right?
Why would he change, right? And then there's a big part of that too, but see, you're pushing there anyway,
right?
So you kind of have to do it at some point. So you're kind of like, so and here's the flip side, and the flip side is you're right. You don't know how many more chances you got.
Right. Yeah.
You might as well just go for it now. You don't got it right because you don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, again, I have this in my head. I mean, I may have nothing in this life when it's all said and done, but you know what? I came in with nothing too, so it really doesn't matter, right? So that's
great equalizer.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things, like, grand scheme of things. It's like you're here to do what you're here to do, right? So fuck it. Right. That's it. That very little else matters.
Right. I mean, it's like, to be really nihilistic. I mean, it's like, look, no matter what happens, the both of us, we're doing better than Steve Jobs right now.
Well, a lot of people, right? But the point is, right? But again, you're justifying my case more and more.
There you go.
Yeah. So again, you gotta decide what you gotta decide ultimately what's right for you. I can't do that for you, but just listening to you and talking to you and hearing it, right? You'd be lying to yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if you
I would have to. Yeah.
Right.
I couldn't say otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like I said, I think like I said, there was a little part of you. I saw that in your face. It's like, how the fuck did you pick that up? Right?
Well, but then again, it's like, my main, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it would be nice, but like right now, it's like my priority is just, the series is 15 issues, and already this is the Kickstarter for issue 3. So, like my priority now is to get these 15 issues done.
Mhm.
And it's like, and I'm already like just finishing up coloring issue 4. I'll be, so I can proof, issue 4. I got the trade that I have to proof, and then it's like I have to get started on issue 5. So it's like, so that's kind of the train of thought that I'm at right now. It's like, I'm not, it's like, oh, a Netflix deal, sure, I guess, we can talk about it later. I mean, anything that happens, I'm not going to outright say no.
Mhm.
It's just that right now I'm not chasing anything because
Around
my
that.
priorities are focused on the work itself
Mhm.
rather than what could come
And,
out of that work.
and you know what? There's nothing. And again,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that,
No,
right?
absolutely
No, no,
not.
right,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
It's just. So this is the thing. When I listen to people, I listen to what they're saying to themselves because that tells me a lot to sometimes of what people actually
Right.
want.
Yeah.
Right? In your case, you're like, there is some wisdom to this too. Don't get me wrong. You're like one thing at a time.
Right. Yeah.
Don't put the cart before the horse, and that's
Yeah.
a part of it. And I would be dishonest, right? If I didn't say that, but where honesty has to kind of go both ways here
Right.
on this
Yeah.
is
Because this is the thing, because it's like I've seen, it's like I've been self-publishing comics since 1992. I mean, I've seen,
oh
three
yeah,
plus decades of this, of people coming in and out.
oh absolutely,
And the thing is though, and I've seen plenty of people who they don't even have an issue 1 yet, or they barely have an issue 1, and they're gunning for that
oh
big
absolutely.
deal, for that big publishing, thing, for the merchandising, for everything. And it's like they don't even have the work together, and they're already thinking they're getting, like
Mhm.
a multi-movie distribution deal from, Universal or whatever, whoever, so it's like, yeah, so maybe I'm like the opposite of that, where it's like I'm too cautious. But I've seen a lot more people be, I mean, even now,
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, it's like, even now there are people who are putting together comics just for the sole purpose of getting a Netflix deal.
which isn't which for a lot of comic people isn't what it is cracked up to being.
Right, yeah,
If
exactly.
that's the goal,
Yeah, yeah,
it's not what people think it is. But
right.
so again, the product is at the end of the day the most important part,
Yeah.
right? You're on that point, no argument. But and again, the rebuke, the gentle rebuke is this,
Right.
right? Is you need to. You've been doing this for a very long time.
Yeah.
You're a professional. You've been doing it as long as Colleen Doran.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
right.
for
That's
sure.
right.
Look, I remember being at conventions with her when she was like, I think like 14, 15.
Yeah, no, no,
and
no,
stuff.
no. But that okay.
Yeah, I
But
remember being at a signing where she was
no,
literally
she's
across
amazing.
from me. Yeah.
She is
Right.
absolutely
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Right. But as talented as she is, it wasn't just talent that got her to where she was.
Oh no, absolutely not.
It was
Absolutely not.
it was her faith in herself.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm calling upon you, oh great King Musabi, because here's the thing. I've noticed this when I'm looking at, say I look at certain comic book creators that I think should be farther up. Like I think I'm a huge Jimmy Robinson fan. Huge Jimmy Robinson. That dude is incredibly gifted and should be getting a lot more love than he gets. That's just my straight up opinion. But I also look at what a lot of creators do, right? Some of them win the lottery, sure. But when you get right down to it, like when you look at the really successful ones, the ones that really do make it, quote unquote, make it, they tell you, at some point to just say, I have belief in myself.
Yeah.
Right? There's a belief factor there. Colleen Doran is one of the most talented people in the industry. It's not even close. Great writer, great. Love her style is both like I love the thing about her style is it's both out there. But it's also got a little. It's got a little bit of that. there's a certain down to earthness to her style that I for lack of a better term, that I really dig about her. That I really dig. Like you compare her to say Jeff Smith. Right. Jeff's got this fun, expressive, like I've met Jeff once when I was at a convention. I met him. I was like in line. Such an enthusiastic guy. Like you could literally see that guy drawing bone. Like you could see it. You could totally see it when you meet him. Right? Colleen has a certain like in comparisons, like she can draw that. She's actually really good at that too. But where she's best is when she's got a little bit of something with some real meat to it. And there's a little bit of that, I don't know, I for lack again, there's just a down to earthness to her style that's very quietly there, and she's a great storyteller. So that's what makes her so great. And so when you look at her, right, it's like, but again, she's doing incredibly cool things right now simply because she didn't seek all of these out. They came to her, but the reason they came to her was because she believed in that, and happened. So, Miss Daphne, I know we just met. I know I probably shouldn't be giving you any real sage advice.
Well, it's information that I can chew on comes from everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I mean, it's like advice can come from the strangest places. So the fact that it's coming from an interview that I've done for the first time is not surprising and welcome, because it's like I'm always open to that type of information, because like one day something is going to click, and I'm going to remember where it came from.
So I have 8 rules to success. So I'm going to talk to you about rules 4 and rule 5.
All right.
Rule 4, the rest is rain. So what that means is, so the paradox of success, and this is actually literally from Colleen, the paradox of success is you can do absolutely everything right and still well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? The flip side is, if you don't do those things, you have no chance to succeed.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So there's always an element of chance in any work you put out there.
Yeah.
No matter who or what you do, like that's just the way it is. You're not gonna. So you have to accept that, like everything you do is a risk. But what you can do, and this is the thing, and it ties into rule 5, is the rain might fall your way. You don't know for sure, but it might. So what you can do is you can build those little dirt holes where water fills up, or you can have buckets where catch rain where it's gonna fall.
Right.
So you try to put yourself in the best position that should the rain fall your way, you can take the most advantage of the opportunity that comes your way. Right? For example, this podcast won the Aurora a few years back. I never sought that out. Those things that just magically happened. And it was like, wow, that's really cool. Like I never imagined that. And I've been nominated a few times since, and it's always a really amazing, it's an honor, right? And so that leads to rule 5. Because I had my own little bout of imposter syndrome when it's like, wait, people are recognizing me.
Exactly.
Holy shit, how did I get here? And I realized something really, really important. I asked myself 3 questions. How did I get here? What do I do so well that people can notice? And how can I get in my own way? Right? And the last one's very important, because I think we all have that I had lunch. I don't know if you how big are you in the author world, but one time I had lunch, and then in this lunch there was Robert J. Sawyer, Jonas Saul, James Allen Gardner, Kat Flannery, and I can't remember the last person. These are all very successful authors. And then they got this committee of like the people that organized the event, and me.
Right.
And me. I just happened to be there, and I was able to I joined them for lunch. Holy shit, I'm sitting with all these people. How did this happen? Right? Surreal, right?
Right, yeah.
But then you realize something very important. And it sounds like an ego trip, but it's a good way to balance it. You're here for a reason.
Right.
Right? So, flip it to you.
Right.
You've busted your ass and you've done it for a very long time.
Right.
you've earned your stripes. You're probably, and I have not, again, I have not read your stuff, and I'm very sorry about that.
Okay.
Right? Don't hold it. Don't beat me up too much. Save the beatings till a later date. But I also know you give a shit.
Yeah.
I can see it when we talk about stuff. Like, you truly, truly care. So all I'm saying is, I get it. You can't control what success is going to look like going down this path. But don't talk yourself out of it either.
Right. That's important.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's the imposter syndrome that, because it's like the other day, on the third day of my Kickstarter, I got a Project We Love listing on my project. And yes, thank you. Right. And and it's like, and I had been working really hard to get that. We couldn't figure out, like how algorithmically it worked or whatnot. It's like, and then all of a sudden I got it. And I was like so excited. And then the imposter syndrome kicked in. God, it's just a bot. Nobody fucking cares. It's like, it's just random. And the thing is though, and it's like, and you're, it's like, yeah, you're right. It's like, wait a minute, why am I talking myself out of this? It's like, why is it that I can't have earned this label? It's like, yeah, why not? It's like, and that's, that's really the important thing. It's like, for me to not talk myself out of my successes, because it's like, it's like, look, I'm working just as hard as anybody on this. Why wouldn't I deserve my successes?
Exactly. And it's okay to have a little bit, like, your ego. Right. It's okay to have a little bit of ego.
Right. Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Right. It's good for negotiating rates.
Right. Exactly.
No, I'm being very serious about that. Ladies and gentlemen, your ego is your friend in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to keep yourself grounded. It's like, hey, I belong. I deserve to be here just like with everybody else.
Right.
Saying that and affirming that.
Yeah.
Now you get to the point where it's like, I'm the greatest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, those guys are a dime a dozen. And we've seen them.
Then maybe you and your ego need to have a little chat in the corner somewhere.
We've seen these people. Yeah.
Yes. But, again, going back full circle here, the stage advice here. I know I'm a complete stranger and I really have no business giving you this advice, but.
Well, it is your show.
It is my show, but I
bring this contextually. It makes sense.
Contextually, it makes sense, but also, I mean, I do have an ego myself, so I'm just like it's one of those things where I can go. You should have a little bit more expectations in your own work for yourself, for your own self-worth.
Right.
That's it. Like, again, keep it fun. Like, I totally understand.
What's funny? This is not the first time I've gotten this advice. I remember several years ago at a previous job, one of the guys that I was working with, because he knew about my comic book work and this, that, and the other thing and whatnot. And I forgot why he told me this, but it really stuck with me. And he said just straight up, it's okay to have higher expectations for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to have expectations.
And that's it. Like,
so it's the fact that I'm hearing it again means that it's something that I probably do have to keep hearing until I finally internalize that.
What here? Okay, so this is the rule.
Okay.
This is your rule going forward. This would be my advice for the rule.
Okay.
I get wanting to keep it fun.
Right.
I totally get that. So here's your rule.
Okay.
Follow Keith Giffin's advice. If it's no longer fun, bail.
Yeah.
That's the only way. That's your only out.
Yeah.
Not, I'm scared. It's not fun.
Right. Yeah. That's completely different.
Am I happy doing this? Like, I've done an honest gut check of.
Yeah.
Is this expectation something I'm happy with?
Right. Yeah.
A rewarding thing, because if it is.
Yeah.
And I have a personal little bet with myself that it will be.
Right.
I'll bet myself a Coke, and when I win, I'll buy myself a Coke. But that's neither here nor there. But I bring this up because when we were talking earlier about it, I heard it in the way you were talking about it. I'm all right. It's just like I'm worried about the story, and that's true to some extent.
Right.
But you've been doing this since '92.
Well, I haven't been doing this particular story since
no,
'92. No. I have, it's like I've been working on.
I get that, but that's no. See that you can put a book together.
Right.
That is not a bar for you anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Right. That is not a bar for you anymore. Right. So again, to a point, one panel at a time is still great advice. Don't get me wrong. It's good to have that from them, but that's not a bar for you.
Right.
A bar for you would be like, okay, how far can I really take this?
Right.
Because again, outwardly, signs are there that your shit's good.
Right? I would like to think, but again, there's
right. Right, you wouldn't get a project we love.
Right, exactly.
Right. So again, there are signs around you that maybe you should
raise the bar a little bit.
Where would the bar be uncomfortable for you at this point?
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah, because that is where you need to be.
Right.
Now, again, if it's not fun,
right,
you don't have to stay there. You need to find out.
Right. Yeah. So that's the assignment. That's the assignment for the day. It's like, where would the bar be uncomfortable? But because that's a really good question. Wow, I really have to think. I have to really chew on that.
That's rule 6.
Yeah, there you go. Where do the expectations? Because what's funny is that, like, artistically, it's like that's something I talk about all the time, where it's like, in order to improve your craft, you have to constantly be uncomfortable with it, because that's the only way you're going to push forward and see the improvements you want to see in your artwork. Whether you're doing artwork, whether you're writing, you have to constantly be at that line where you're uncomfortable, because it means you're moving forward. So I just find it funny how it's like, here you are giving me pretty much my own advice, but for like another aspect of the process.
Well, but basically what I'm telling you, and this is the thing, like, this is the thing I think artists miss. A lot of artists miss.
Right.
The business is part of the art. If you're married,
we're in very much denial about that.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
But I think artists in general are very much in denial.
Yeah, but and I sensed that when we were talking about it earlier. You have to be in a position where, if you really want to see how far you can go with this, you have to put yourself on that limb, business-wise. Now, again, the rule is for you, if it's not fun, you can always say no. But you need to find out, right? Again, not everybody that does this, makes a living doing this. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody that does this tries to make a living doing it. That's what I'm doing. I'm pushing myself in uncomfortable places because I need to. Right. And I'm not going to be happy with it until I succeed or I'm on the street, one or the other. I'm not going to give a rest.
When you put yourself, it's like that's really putting yourself out
exactly.
there.
So that's where I'm at. Now, that doesn't mean I won't get other jobs here and there, work for clients here and there. That's not what I'm saying. I have a very clear goal. I do not want, and I haven't been for a very long time, I don't have an employee's mindset anymore. I don't have it. I will look at my boss as a human being, no matter what. And I can work with somebody, I can be professional, do the best I can.
Right.
But I'm only going to put as much investment as the people around me do.
Right. Yeah.
And if they're not doing it, I see it a lot more now because I've been self-employed. If my boss wants me to do all the work for little money, I'm not doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah.
and I have no problem
Yeah.
being fired. I have no, like, I don't care.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not an employee anymore.
Mhm.
Right. That's just
Yeah.
like an honest thing. That doesn't mean, like I said, 10-hour job, like part-time stuff here and there. I can do that, but
Right.
but full-time.
Yeah. Not full-time. Yeah. Not
I
anymore.
can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. You, right, but again, I'm pushing myself, and whether I succeed or I fail, I will learn something.
Right. Yeah.
First year I freelance, the biggest thing is, what if I fail? This time it's there. That's not
right. But the thing is, though, that's something that happens anyway. So it's like, it's not even what if, it's when, and then what you do afterwards.
Yeah, well, there's that, but there's also just like, that's a self-sabotage too, right? And you recognize, like, that's not going to help me get work.
Right.
What's going to help me get work is crafting pitches. What's going to help me get work is figuring out where I can solve problems and do them well. Right. That's what's going to get me work. Recognizing that, again, a year of freelancing taught me that. And then I went back to work part-time to get money up. I kept going right back to this. So it's like the universe is telling me, Josh, this is what you're supposed to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So here I am. And in a short time, since July of this year, I have made as much money as I did the first year already.
Right. There you go.
So if I had done this from the beginning, but again, the mentality is different.
Right.
And it's very much the real battle of art is here. It always is. Here and here.
Right.
Here to make it worth a shit.
Yeah.
But here to get yourself into positions to succeed.
Yeah.
So you.
Yes. Me.
Come face to face with your little imposter. Give it a shot.
It really.
Right. And figure out what would make you uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not this campaign. Obviously, you're
yeah.
Yeah, you're in this campaign at this point.
Yeah.
But maybe the next one. Yeah. Or something else. But that you need to find out.
Right. It's like, yeah, push it. It's like, how do I push it to the next level?
Yeah. And that's it. Like, it's not. Yeah, I think that's my psychological advice for you for the day.
There you go. Go.
And you're like, damn it.
It's something educational for everybody, because you know what, it's because, like I said, it's like there's some advice that look, sometimes if you keep hearing something, it's because you have to keep hearing it until it sticks, until you finally get it. So yeah.
Well, like I said, like something I said earlier, you don't need Marvel or DC anymore.
Right, exactly.
I don't need DAW or Tor books anymore. Yeah. That doesn't mean I wouldn't want to work with them. That's not what I'm saying. But I realized that, I can have a pretty satisfying career as a writer artist.
Right.
Without ever setting foot there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And that's fine. And even better, I already got award stuff, so I don't really need to do that anymore. So, can I get paid? Sure. Will I ever win and get another award? Maybe not. Do you care? No. Right? And that sounds like really like dumb, but right?
Yeah.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not knocking anyone's goals.
Right. Yeah.
You're all right. If your goal is, I've had a conversation with a guy that wants to be a dad first and everything else second, and writing is like fourth on his list. And that's fair. Like, you can make that decision, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in his case, that's a very clear decision. Like, when I talk to him about it, like, there's no, like, he knows exactly what he's doing. Right? I felt like you're trying to talk yourself out of something you want.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna poke at you too much more on that. But it's just like, I like. But at least I've entertained the hell out of you with this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna be chewing on this for a while. So it's not like I'm not just humoring you. I'm actually wait a minute,
Well, no, I know you're not, because I'll tell you 2 reasons why I know that. you blushed a little bit as I talked that, which means like, oh shit, my game's up, right? I saw that. I saw a little bit of how the fuck again, a little bit of how the fuck does he know this? And number three, right? And the other part I saw was okay. Again, you're not going to take all my advice. I know that.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but you know what's funny is like bits and pieces will come up when they need to.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be like all at the same time kind of thing.
Yeah. Right. No, and that's it. And some of it you're going to be saying that guy was full of shit. Then some of it you're going to be like, son of a bitch.
Right? Well, you know, yeah. I mean that's how it works, doesn't it? Isn't it? You know,
that's totally how it works.
Yeah.
It's totally how it works. So I mean, but all right, we should probably go and so we talk about your book before we wrap this bad boy up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we could keep going. I know.
I know. It's like So the book that I need to, so the book that I have on Kickstarter right now is Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which is a fantasy soap opera about a half unicorn princess who finds her kingdom under siege, and she is exiled into the world of men, where she has to pretty much learn how to maneuver in a mortal kingdom, trying to figure out how to win her own kingdom back. So right now I have issue 3 on Kickstarter, which, as I mentioned, is now a project we love. Has a project we love label on it, so I must be doing something right again. You know, and it's a 15. So it's issue 3 out of a 15 issue series, and so right now I think we have about like 21 days left. We did meet our the royal we. It's like I did meet my initial goal of so the book is being printed. Now we're just unlocking stretch goals, which is a 9-card trading card set of the main characters, and I do have a lot of levels for like people who just want the books and people who collect variant covers. So you can check out the campaign there. If you want a link, if you want it, like I guess a direct link to it, I'm assuming it would be in the show notes. But if not, you can head over to my website, egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where I have a link to the Kickstarter. And not only that, but you can actually read the first 5 issues.
Did I get that right?
Oh, there we go. Yes, egoworks.com. Yes. You can actually read the first 5 issues for free on the website. It's the original black and white version that I was uploading over the years because it was my hobby comic on top of my main comic that I was working on at the time, which is Tall Tales, which we also just recently finished a Kickstarter for. You can find all my comics at this website. So what I've been doing is I've been taking those black and white pages, I've been tweaking the artwork, I've been coloring them, I've been relettering them, doing all new covers for them, and releasing them on Kickstarter. So you can check out the series. You can check out the first 5 issues in its original format, so you can check it out just to see if it's a type of story you want to read. You can download a 16-page preview of the color version of the first issue, so you can see the book that you are getting on Kickstarter. And that's pretty much it. I think like I said, we have 21 days to go. I'm looking to get all the cards unlocked. So I'm hoping that this is something that everybody will enjoy.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, folks, as you can see here, we spent the first half talking story, and then the second half talking imposter syndrome tonight.
There you go. And it's a very important conversation to have, because a lot of artists do get tripped up, and as you can see, it's like, I can try to talk around it, but there's certain realities that even I have to face. Absolutely. concerning a lot of this. So
Well, hey, we all are guilty. So we all have that moment. Like, what if this sucks? What if this?
Absolutely.
What if this is bad?
I mean, what's funny is that I'm wearing a very appropriate shirt for this. It's like, hold on while I overthink this.
Exactly.
So there you go. So
and so folks, like I said, I'm pretty straightforward, pretty much balls to the wall. If you feel you gotta do something, just do it, and that's me. Everybody else might have a different perspective, but that is me, and always will be me, probably until my dying day, because I truly don't give a shit. That's just me.
And there's a freedom to that. There's a freedom to that.
Honestly, it's if you are willing. We could go another hour easy, but I'll just say this: if you are willing to face the consequences of your actions, there's nothing to stop you. You're not going to be guilted or shamed or fear or anything like that. You're just going to say, well, you know what? I'm going to do my thing. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine. I'm still doing it. I don't care. Right? And if you have that in you, there's really nothing anyone can do about it. Right? Nobody can stop you. Nobody, right? Now, again, as I said in the last episode, that pretty much includes the law, but that again, there will be consequences. So I'm not advocating anything either.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Right. But truthfully, whatever you set your heart and mind's desire to do, you will do. And it will succeed, and it will be. There's nothing anyone can do. You'll pay a price.
Right. Yeah.
And on that note, I think that's a good way to wrap up this episode. So thank you, Daphne, for coming on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on. And thank you to the Twitcherati watching now and watching later.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So, for those of you watching, learning, listening, my Twitch channel is twitch.tv/justjoshpodcast. Click the like, follow button there. My YouTube channel is Joshua Pantellaresco. Hit like, subscribe, enable notifications there. Older episodes are uploaded there all the time. My audio, obviously, is probably where you're listening to this. That's gets updated very regularly, as I do these all the time. This is who I am. This is what I do. I am Joshua Pantellaresco. Elvis Zero is nominated for the Elgin Award. It's available now on Amazon. Definitely take a look at that in the description below. If you want to support me in a whole bunch of other different ways, click the links. Beyond all that, stay inspired, keep shining in the dark, keep making beautiful things. I'll be back Thursday with Paul Oliva. It's going to be fun.
There you go.
To everybody else, peace.
Peace. Bye.